Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you might be. Welcome back to the Same Old Arsenal podcast, episode 92. How are you? Well, that rhyme, Graham. You like that? I wonder if Harry Shotter's watching again. He'd like that. Wow. What did we say about yesterday? Had it all. It had it all. Good game. Oh, I thought it was a good game. Not the result we wanted. Joy, ecstasy, disappointment. I was ecstatic when we went 2-0 up. I don't know about anyone else. I couldn't believe we were 2-0 up and our two centre-halves had scored. But yeah, obviously overshadowed by a few things, shall we say. Let's get into the introductions. Dan, how are you, sir?
Hey there, boys. All good, thank you very much. Just about calmed down now, so ready for this.
Harry, how are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Thank you. Same as Dan. I think it's always good to do these the next day rather than straight after, when you can look at things with a clear head.
That wasn't your car outside the armory yesterday, was it? You didn't leave it there?
No, do you know what? I literally got there and they were telling people to like move out of the way. And I went in the shop and they kept everyone in the shop for about 10, 15 minutes. But some of the shit I was reading on Twitter was complete nonsense, man. Apparently a guy rammed the car through a crowd.
Right,
nonsense. Yeah. Absolute nonsense.
Graham, welcome back, sir. How are you?
I'm very well, mate. Nice to be back. Looking forward to tonight. Always good to get a bit of therapy on a Monday after Sunday, after a performance like that. And I'm looking forward to it. We've got a lot to discuss tonight. And I'm looking forward to the judge tonight. I can see him already seething, waiting to get into this.
You can see the teeth clenching behind. You can see the teeth clenching behind his lips. How are you, sweetheart?
I'm still angry. I've got to say it. I'm still annoyed. It's no fun being an Arsenal fan at the moment. I have to say, I'm getting more and more wound up with it. Everything that could have gone wrong yesterday, apart from not losing, happened yesterday. But it felt like a loss. I don't know how you boys feel, but I felt like it was a loss. But we get into it now.
Absolutely. Okay, so look, Crystal Palace came to town. Actually, before we start, hello to everyone in the chat box. How are you? If you could do me all a massive favour, because absolutely last week everyone went ham on it. So and I think it was because I asked at the start of the video. If you're watching us live, could you like the video? And if you're watching us on the old replay, could you like the video for us? Because believe it or not, it's all about the likes. The higher up the like charts we go, the higher we get up on the video rankings and get in front of other people. So if you could like the video for us, that would be great. We've got a giveaway for you tonight, an old giveaway.
Yeah, give away.
Hold it up, Lee. Hold it up.
Give it away. I've got a spare one of these from the Arsenal, So if you're a season ticket holder and a membership card holder, you get one of these. So, but if you haven't got one and you want one, there's a question that Craig's going to ask now, and this will be on your way. Yeah. I'm
going to do the question later because those little buggers in the chat box will go Googling. So I'm going to give it. I'm going to do a 30-second answer. You'll have a 30-second gap to get your answers in. And I will pick one. So so get ready on Twitter because I'm going to get people to tweet me the answer on Twitter, and then I have this little generator thing, and it picks a winner at random. So we'll do that. So get ready. Oh, Captain, get on with it, Craig. Oh, sorry about that. Let's start with Dan. Dan, 2-2 Crystal Palace. A brief overview of the game, sir, before we get into the pleasantries.
Probably the best start we've had all season, wasn't it? I thought 2 early goals from 2 unlikely scorers as well. A lot of people around me were all saying how bad they've been, and then both of them score. 2 corners, which I don't believe we've been fantastic at of late, and get quite frustrated with our corners, really. We seem to be looking to flick it on from the front man at the near post, and both worked out for us, went 2-0 up, and it was really going to be, is this going to be a game that we see out now and we keep it at 2-0, or do we get another one and kill the game off? But this is Arsenal and that doesn't happen. And unfortunately for me, it got to the stage where it was just so obvious what was going to be coming next to me. And, Zaha looked like he was causing some problems to Callum Chambers. And then, of course, the penalty incident happened. Now, it was right by me because I sit at block 5. So I'm right by the corner flag on that side, right? And I saw it and I said to my old man who was sitting next to me, I said, yeah, that's a penalty, definitely. And when he blew the whistle, I thought, oh, bloody hell, here we go, penalty given away. And then he booked him for diving. And I thought, oh, you're kidding me. That was a blatant penalty, wasn't it? Obviously, VAR showed that it was. And Milivojevic doesn't miss. So as soon as that goal went in, I looked to my dad and went, here we go. We ain't going to get third here now. You watch. This is going to be horrible to watch now. Got to half time and everyone around us was exactly the same thing. It got to the stage for me at half time again where everyone was a little bit like, no confidence for the fans is there at the moment because of the way we're playing, and it's just depressing every time I go out and have a beer at half time, and have a chat at half time. No one's confident, no one's happy. And then obviously when we kicked off again, pretty much straight away, the ball comes across, Granit Xhaka does nothing, and then lets the cross come in, and then Luiz has lost his man, and it's a easy header for Jordan Ayew, and it's 2-2, and we just don't know what happened since then. It just didn't look like we were going to get back into it. Then, of course, the magic happens and we get the goal, and I cannot for the life of me see why that is ruled out. There is no way in anybody's mind that was a clear and obvious foul from Callum Chambers. I just don't understand. It looks to me more like he's been fouled. Great finish from Socrates again. Everyone's jumping up, everyone's jumping on me, everyone's elbowing me in the head, and then we can't celebrate a goal at the Emirates anymore because VAR has been involved. It just needs to be scrapped now, boys. I've had enough of it. I've had an absolute enough of it. And there we go. We go away, and it's a draw, and it's a disappointing result again. And obviously, Granit Xhaka does what he does, and everyone goes away really, really disappointed. So that's my overview of the game before getting into any of the other bits.
Harry, nice video outside the ground afterwards, mate. I've really enjoyed that.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, it was good. If you haven't watched that, go across to the Chronicles of a Gooner on YouTube, subscribe to Harry, and have a look at that video. Harry, what was your brief thoughts on yesterday?
Much of the same in terms of the performance. Very uninspiring. As Dan said, 2 goals from 2 unlikely sources. Slightly fortunate in that department because you expect that when Crystal Palace come to the Emirates, that would be their bread and butter, that they defend those situations well. I thought they were all over the place defensively at the beginning. The keeper coming out into no man's land for the first one, and the second one, I mean, Luiz and Socrates were queuing up at the far post. So I thought we were slightly fortunate to be ahead. It might sound a little bit harsh, but when you look at the overall game, I don't think we created anywhere near enough. Again, it's not a new problem. It's a problem that we've had for a while now. And the minute Crystal Palace pulled one back, you felt that they were going to come back. That you just knew that Ayew goal was going to come. And that's the worrying thing. We're in this rut at the moment. And, when you look at the league table, it's not a complete and utter disaster at this moment in time. But the concern comes from the performances, and you don't play well. There's only so far you can continue this way, and it's a real concern at the moment. Well, I'm sure we're going to come on to the certain situations that took place a bit later on. But in terms of my overall feelings, just disappointed with another lackluster and boring performance, to be honest.
Graham, what went wrong, mate? What went wrong? Tell us.
How long you got? I thought it was a day of chaos, controversy, and ultimately mutiny. And the mutiny from the club captain. I have to say, I thought it was an exciting game. I'm not saying it was a good technical game, and I can see what Harry's saying, but I thought it was an eventful game. I think the bigger picture is it masks the narrative that the microscope is now firmly on the manager. I mean, if you think now, Granit Xhaka incident aside, he lost Laurent Koscielny as club captain in the summer when he walked out on the club, and he nailed his colours down in favour of Granit Xhaka. He named 5 captains, didn't he? One of them he's not picking, and another one now as a show of dissent and told the fans to fuck off. Excuse the language, Nigel, but that's in fact what he said. But the bigger picture is that Emery, in his last 8 Premier League games for Arsenal, we've only won 2. We've scored 12, conceded 13, only had 1 clean sheet, and only scored 2 goals from open play. It's incredible, really, that we're still 5th in the table, isn't it, with those stats? But we are. And I think the bigger picture is at the moment we're going backwards under Emery. Now, as much as I think off the pitch, the club have got it right in the appointments they've made, on the pitch, there's a lot of questions being asked now, and quite rightly so, in his 2nd year with no discernible sign of pattern to the play or any real improvement in the areas that we wanted the team to be improved in defensively and the structure in front of the defence. And the worrying thing is Aubameyang and Lacazette enter the last year or 2 of their contracts. Are they going to renew in the next 12 months if we get Europa League again? So that's in effect what it was. The VAR controversy and the Xhaka incident was almost like a sideshow, a smokescreen for what's going on with Emery. And I think there were a lot of very unhappy people in that stadium yesterday. Coming on to the Xhaka incident, I've supported Arsenal for 50 years, right? I always think of us as a classy club. Fans have turned on players in the past, and I think the Bowie one was probably where I think it reached its worst. But what the fans did to Xhaka yesterday was just totally unforgivable. He didn't help himself, I must say, by the way he walked off the pitch. And we have seen other players in the team walk off just as slowly. But I think this has been a build-up. It wasn't about what happened on the day. This has been a build-up what's been going on for a number of weeks. And you have to question why he's in the team, why he's captain, and who made that decision, Unai Emery. So that's the immediate thing. On the VAR incidents, now I agree with what Dan said. I was in the stadium. We were 2 goals up. And one thing I will say is, first of all, Pepe's in-swinging corners are now a very good weapon to add to his dead ball free kicks. You know, we look dangerous every time he swings it in there. And Luiz and Socrates took advantage of poor Palace defending to score. But on the 2 incidents, that goal, first of all, the Zaha one, what annoyed me about that was when he goes into the box, you got Chambers and Socrates. We got a 2v1 on him in that box. Chambers needs to show him on the outside. Socrates needs to talk to Chambers to say he's behind him. So once he shows him on the outside, Socrates can come across and stop that action. But there's no communication between them. Chambers dangles a leg and Zaha goes over it. Now, we all thought it was a penalty. I thought it was a penalty. But when I looked at it today, and I looked at it back a few times, it looked like he's planted his leg. He's planted his foot, Chambers, and Zaha's gone over on it. Now, Wilfred Zaha has earned more penalties in the Premier League in the last few years since Palace have been back in the Premier League than any other player. 16 penalties. We concede more penalties in the Premier League than any other team. 11 in the last year, 4 this season. So a penalty against Crystal Palace was always going to happen. But I think the officials got that wrong. VAR got that wrong. Now, on the second incident, we've heard what was said yesterday. I think for me, it looks to me like in the stadium, I thought he was going to give a penalty because I thought Chambers was being fouled. And it looks like Cahill has pushed Chambers into McCarthy, who's trying to make the clearance. So what they said yesterday was the VAR official made a subjective decision that Chambers tripped Milivojevic and hampered him in trying to make a clearance. But there was nothing clear and obvious in that playback. There was so much going on in there. I just can't see how he could come to that decision. And I think that the Premier League have shot themselves in the foot. That's what I will say. Because in every other country, they go to the screen on the pitch. They've got that screen at the bottom on the pitch that they could go and look at. The referee could be told to go and check that screen, check his decision. Why are we the only league, the best league, supposed best league in the world, not doing what every other league is doing? And this is why the Premier League, this VAR thing, is causing so much controversy. The game itself, I thought we started well. I thought we started in a 4-4-2. I thought where we lost it was we played Ceballos up high on the left-hand side and we played Pepe on the right. And it's almost like they were a 4 with Aubameyang and Lacazette when we were attacking. Now, the problem we had was when we didn't have the ball, Palace had the extra man in midfield. And I didn't think Ceballos or Pepe got back to control those areas off the ball well enough as the game went on. Slowly but surely, Palace took control of the midfield. And there's one other point I'll make before you bring the judge in. The one thing you need to do when you play Crystal Palace is there's 2 things, right? And I know they did play some good football yesterday and they got on the outside a few times, their second goal. We did not defend that second goal very well either. The fact is, Xhaka is almost like no pressure on the ball. He doesn't stop the cross. And Luiz loses Ayew at the back. And I know, Lee, you're a big friend of Kevin Campbell. I think Kevin said today that the cross was so good he didn't blame Luiz. But, you know, at the end of the day, I question that. That's just my view. I thought he should have picked him up. I just think tactically he gets it wrong. I think you have to look at the players. He doesn't understand the qualities of the players he's got, you know, Emery. And for me, one thing he should be doing is looking at that midfield in front of the back four, right? You've got some players there, and I would just make 3 tweaks, right? I don't think Xhaka should be in the team. Torreira is a DM, play him there. We've said it before, play him there. Now, Ceballos is a technical small space player who's very good at sort of like, he's like a Cazorla player. He can jink both ways and get us out. He can beat a press. Play him in a 2. Play him in an area of the pitch that benefits the skill set he's got. Guendouzi is more attacking. Play him further forward. Play him where he can influence the play. If we're not going to bring Ozil in between the lines, and it looks like, I've been saying for weeks, the Ozil thing is sort of like done and dusted. The club made up their minds in the summer that he was not going to be part of their plans. They've had to come out and say it now because of the chanting around the stadium. But if you're not going to play Ozil, play Guendouzi further forward. But the way he sets the midfield up yesterday, I think, allowed Palace to take control of the midfield. Once they took control of the midfield, they got a foothold in the game. Once they got the penalty, we lost control. We started to panic. The other thing I will say is when you're playing against a player like Wilfried Zaha, you have to have plans for Wilfried Zaha. You can't just let him jink the way he does. And he's frightened the hell out of me every time he got the ball yesterday. We didn't get enough players around him quick enough. I think when Pepe had the ball, they always got players around him. He tweeted out today, didn't he, about that Guendouzi tackle? Do you remember that in the last minute where he took him out? And he said the NFL is at Wembley. I tweeted him back, not that he'd take any notice of my tweet. At least you didn't have to die for that one. But the fact is, it was like a rugby tackle. But do you know what? At the end of the day, Palace deserved a draw yesterday. And Palace, to me, Hodgson got it right tactically. Emery didn't get it right tactically. And I think the microscope now is firmly on the manager. We've got Wolves and Leicester coming up in the next 2 games. All the time we're in close proximity to that top 4, Craig. I think that they'll stick with him. And they have come out today and say they're going to back him, right? But Lee made a great point yesterday. I won't spoil it. He can make it with regard to the money that he talked about in his interview. But they've got a decision to make. If we start getting more than 4 points behind that top 4, and our form at the moment is not great, Wolves and Leicester are coming next. Wolves at home won't be easy. Leicester away are on a roll. If we don't do well in those games, there's going to be questions asked, and I'll let Lee take it up from there.
Going on to that VAR thing, obviously we've all seen it, what happened yesterday, and just a bit of information on that VAR. The referee who disallowed Socrates' goal was Jared Gillett. He has never officiated a Premier League game, ever. His assistant on VAR yesterday was Neil Davis, who was also the assistant on VAR who ignored a blatant penalty on Socrates against Sheffield United. VAR has got to go for me. I truly believe that it's being used to influence football results for gain somewhere. I genuinely believe it because there is too many incidences now since it's been in the Premier League of just absolute waffle. You know, like 5 guys, we're just fans. We're not professional pundits. It's not just us that can see these glaring mistakes. It's the whole world that can see these glaring mistakes. Lee, I think we all know how the game went now. Let's bring you in on what happened yesterday. Before we came on air, I said that what Granit Xhaka done was, it was terrible. I'm not condoning it in any way. He should never have acted like that. But at the end of the day, he's a human being, and our fans are a disgrace for what happened yesterday. And I don't care. You can call me what you like. I've actually deactivated my Twitter account today because I cannot stand the Arsenal Twitter fan base anymore. Not everyone, but just people know the ones, right? I just cannot stand reading their absolute guff anymore. Granit Xhaka out of order, but Lee, how is it? This is what I'm trying to get through my head, right? Answer me this. How does someone get up and boo their own player? I don't care what, for any reason. How does an Arsenal fan stand up in the Emirates Stadium and boo their own players? I just do not get it, mate.
No, I don't understand that. I have to say, I can sit here and say that I didn't boo. I thought it was not. It wasn't classy. It wasn't the right thing to do. But Granit Xhaka didn't help himself. This has been brewing for a few weeks now, since the Aston Villa game. He got cheered off against Aston Villa. Then it happened at Sheffield United. Not as much, but it was there. You know what I mean? Ironic. Cheers when he come off. Harry was there, so he would back me up on that as well. And then yesterday again, and I think he's just it's not very nice for him. He's upset by it, and he's reacted the way he shouldn't have done. He can't do what he's done. He should just run off, and what he's done there is put himself in a real awkward position. He's put the club in an awkward position. I don't know how the club's going to get out of it. But
can I just come in on something, mate? Sorry, before you carry on. What kind of a message is that sending out to the other players? Look at Lucas Torreira yesterday, visibly upset by it. How can we not blame a player like Lucas Torreira to come out against Leicester or against Wolves? I wouldn't blame him not saying, no, I ain't going out and playing in front of them. No way. Do you know what I mean? What kind of message is that sending out to the rest of the players?
I get that, because it means then if you're going to be afraid to make a mistake because the crowd's going to get back onto you. I get that, but these are professional footballers and they should have a thick skin. And
okay, fair enough. But you know
and
what
be
I'm
able to
getting
handle that. But I totally get what you're on about. But the fundamental thing is, it's all right having a moan up. Listen, I vent my anger at the end of the game, but I believe for me as a fan, obviously there's to go to enjoy the game, but you're there to support the team. For 90 minutes, you go and support the team, give it all, cheer them on, whatever. And at the end of it, if you've done that, and then after 90 minutes you're not satisfied with what's occurred, then fair enough. Now on the game against Sheffield United, I was furious after the game because I felt, and I didn't feel, I watched the team of another team outfight and want it more than my play. So I'm going to vent my anger at that, But the fact of the matter is, yesterday, and let's get this right, Granit Xhaka wasn't taken off because he was playing bad. He was taken off for tactical reasons. You know what I mean? Like we was 2-2 looking to get to the win. The obvious thing is you take your holding midfield player off. That would happen at most times. It was the same scenario against Sheffield United. Obviously, he's going to be a little bit peeved by it. But what I see, and I mentioned this yesterday, Jordan Henderson, when he was at Liverpool, they're 1-0 down against Man United. They took him off. He ran off, and then he sat down and watched the rest of the game. Liverpool come back into the game 1-1. Next game, they're playing Spurs. He's back in the team as starts. What does he do? He drags them back and scores the goal. That's what a proper captain does. But the fact of the matter is, the hate that's coming on Granit Xhaka is not because of him as the player now. It's now the fans have got the ump, and the hate is coming on because he's been given the captaincy, which is what they don't agree with. 90% of the fans don't agree with him being in the team, Craig. Right? Let alone be captain. But that's what Emery's done. Emery's done that.
I don't want him in the team, and I don't want him as captain either. But I'm not going to get up and boo the bloke.
No, so for what it is now, it's a popularity contest. It's like X Factor for captains, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, who gets to vote for a captain? It's shambolic, and it shouldn't be like that. You choose a captain because for reasons in football, which is he's a good leader, he does this, he motivates or whatever, or leads by example. There's different ways of a captain, and not because he's Mr. Popular. Now, the fact of the matter is, the fans are. It was rumbling, you know what I mean? They're not happy with him being captain, and what they've done there is they've took it out on Granit Xhaka over the course of the last couple of games, but ultimately, I think if you be honest, he's not been playing well. You know what I mean? We've all agreed that Dan, as is not his favourite. Harry is a favourite of Granit Xhaka, but he's even admitted that he's not been playing that well, so you've had to accept that, But the manager continues to keep playing him. So whose fault is it? Is it Granit Xhaka's fault that he's not playing well and keeps on playing? I don't believe it is. I think that the manager is capable, has got to be looking at this. And what it seems to me is that Emery isn't managing the players very, very well. I don't think that there is that going on. There's lots of things going on in the background now, for players like coming out and turning around and saying, I don't really understand his tactics. Someone else coming out and saying this. The way that he handles Lacazette, I don't think it's been fantastic, and certainly the way that he's handled Xhaka isn't great, and I know people have said to me today it's a bad example, but Maitland-Niles was a young kid helping him out by playing right back, because no other one can do it. As soon as the right backs have come in, he's been dropped and out of the squad, completely bombed out. Is that fair? Thanks for doing me that job at right back. That's all right, boss. Where am I playing today? Oh no, you can have another day off. It's not. There's certain things not right about that. You can go on and say about the Mesut Ozil thing. Like, forget about him as the player. Forget him about anything else. Is it right to be treated like he's being treated?
No.
Is it? I don't think so.
No, it's not.
Come out and tell it. He's there. And what really is starting to get my goat about this, about the Mesut Ozil, they show you pictures in the Arsenal website, whatever they call it. And there's pictures of him training. And you should see him on there, and then the next thing, he's not even in the squad. And you look at the team, and continually, I think it's just not Xhaka. And I'm going to say this about Socrates yesterday. Forget about his goal. That's the best game that he's played for since he started at the beginning of the season. So that's 9 games gone, or 10 games. How many games he played? He's had 1 good game in 10. Brilliant. But he's continued to play and allowed to play so very often. And also, so has David Luiz, who is a running joke at the minute. Lauren Hardy at the back, is a running joke. You know what I mean? Like, I'm with you on it, Graham, about the cross. I think, he's got to do better than what he did. But he'll be back in there next week. And this is the problems that you're having at the moment, and what I don't see what he can do now. Like, if I be honest, that weren't a bad side that he had out here. It's virtually the best team that he could pick out there, and it still didn't create. Now, when he first come, this is the problem that I've got with him now. Like, when he first come to the team, we forget. People are really getting on my nerves now when people are saying we're in a total mess and all that. Forget about that. We were still a very, very good attacking side. Played some good football with some good attacking play. So you're thinking, right, get a manager in there that's just going to tweak the defence and make it look better, and we'll be with all that attacking flair. We'll be great. What he's done is he's taken away all our attacking flair, right? Emphasise it on the back, and we're conceding more goals. So not have we got all the attacking play now? We've got a nullified back up front, and we are still continuing to concede goals. And when you look at it, nothing has improved. Nothing whatsoever has improved. And yes, we went 2-0 up yesterday. What did we do after that game? What did we do when you look, do you know what? We opened them up and little 1-2s around the box and all that. Sometimes it was fantastic watching the old Arsenal, little 1-2s in and around the box. We might miss them, but we had one shot after that, which was Lacazette, which was a good shot that come about 2 minutes after. I don't remember us opening them up. It was a scrappy corner that should have got the winner. But that's where it all comes from, There's no fluency in the team. What is Danny Ceballos' role in the team? Someone please explain, because I don't know no more. And he's certainly not getting we're not getting the best out of him. We've got wide players that are supposed to be exciting, playing inside, and our fullbacks coming through and trying to be our wide players. And everybody said, it's going to be all right when Tierney comes in and all that. Well, it weren't. It weren't. So what's the next one? Holding's going to come back in. Obviously, he's not going to bring him back in because he thinks that these two are better than what he's got there. It's just a mismatch now. And my question, I've said it. There's a fella called Trevor that sits next to me. Lovely guy, goes every game, and he turned around and it's not my quote, it's his quote when he turned around and said, "Lee, ask the question: 6 million to get rid of him now, or do you want it to cost you 45 million? Can we afford to waste 45 million, lads? When we've wasted so much over, we've got rid of free transfers and things like that. It's got to be done now. If it's not going to be done now, it's going to be done after the international break. And the thing is now, I think Leicester are 5 points in front of us, are they? They're going to be 8 points when they beat us in a couple of weeks. Because I can tell you that now, we're not beating Leicester. You know what I mean? Like, you can be as good as what you can be, but they're as good. They're a good side. You go to Liverpool with no real, I don't think any real what's the word, like confidence that who's going to win there. I've got no confidence going to Leicester and winning, and basically I'm not, it's a hit and miss whether you're going to beat Wolves next week, and that's where we are now. It's time for him to and the board are now saying, oh, we're allowed to carry on. You know what I mean? Well, if that's the case, then I hope they're going to be reimbursing us with some money at the end of the season, because excited I am not.
Absolutely. I want to bring you all back in now. You can, now we've all been round to you singly, you can all, we can get into a bit of a discussion. Dan, I'll start off with you and we can get it rolling. Arsene Wenger, the last 10 years, the divide of the fan base was massive. I would put a bet on it that Emery, after being here for a year, I think the division is even bigger now. Would you agree?
Well, listen, a lot of us have said it before. There's no loyalty to this man. Everybody could give Arsene Wenger some time because of what he'd done in the previous 10 years, because it was sensational. And I don't care what anyone says. I've still got love for the guy because he brought me and my dad and all of my mates an unbelievable amount of memories. So I'll never forget Arsene Wenger for that, no matter what you think of him, love him or hate him. Unai Emery, for me, came in and I was really quite impressed with what I saw. I know Harry doesn't agree, but I actually did see a little bit of an understanding there in terms of what he was trying to achieve. This season, for me, it seems to have gone to pot. I'm totally with judges in terms of what happened last probably 6 to 8 games of the previous season and the Europa League final. I can't really forgive or understand what happened there. But for me, this guy's like a completely different manager. And keeping the Arsene Wenger thing in mind, Craig, there, because it's interesting. Arsene Wenger's philosophy seemed to change because the first 10 years we had these monsters in midfield like Patrick Vieira and Petit and Gilberto. And then we went to the Emirates and he changed to Fabregas and Cazolas and Wilsheres and Arshivans and Nasris and Ramses. And they all started to get a little bit tiki-taka. And he was obviously trying to concentrate on Pep Guardiola. But it seemed to me that he completely changed his philosophy. Now, for me, Unai Emery has done that in 2 seasons, not 20 years. Because all of a sudden now I'm seeing Granit Xhaka playing as a holding midfielder. I'm seeing Torreira and Eden Hazard role in a number 10. I'm seeing players out of position and tactically clueless in that midfield, which for me is invisible again with lacking of creativity. And we're relying on a 20-year-old who's been consistently our best player to get everyone up for the game. Now, he's picked 5 captains, apparently. He thinks there's 5 leaders out there, does he? Because I can't see one. And the one he has given it to is an absolute disgrace. He needs to get the F out of my club as soon as possible. Because if somebody was the captain of Arsenal, that to me is the biggest privilege you can have. As an Arsenal fan, if I was given the captaincy of any football club, I'd be amazed. What does he understand what that means? Ask Patrick Vieira. Ask Tony Adams what that means. The captaincy is an absolute joke. Look around the clubs in the top 6 at the moment and look at the captains. The captain used to be Roy Keane. It's now Ashley Young. The captain used to be Tony Adams. It's now Granit Xhaka. The captain of Chelsea was Terry. Now it's Azpilicueta. The captain of Liverpool was Gerrard and Carragher. Now it's Jordan Henderson. I don't quite understand it. It just seems to me that the captaincy is completely gone now. And for me to throw the armband on the floor and to take the shirt off and to tell the crowd, to swear at the crowd like that, get out of my club. Don't ever come back. Do not wear that shirt next weekend. And if he does, then what sort of message does that send out? Yeah. What message does that send out from Unai Emery to say, do you know what? I'll let that guy do that. He hasn't said sorry, but I've had a go at him now. I've slapped his wrist. He won't do it again. No, get out of my club because everyone will boo you even more now, Granit Xhaka, because what you've just done. It is an absolute disgrace. Now, I don't condone the fans for what they've done. I think it's disgusting. And if the rumours are true about them throwing plastic bottles and litter and coins at his car when he was signing autographs, then shame on you fans, because that's not being an Arsenal fan. That's being a scumbag, in my opinion. I don't care whether it's a Tottenham player or an Arsenal player. You don't do that to anyone. So whatever that, what is all that about for a start? And the fans booing, I didn't boo. I'm not a fan of Granit Xhaka, and you all know that I'm not a fan of Granit Xhaka, but I would never, ever do that. Yeah? I didn't clap, I didn't cheer, I didn't jeer, and I didn't boo. And I don't like the guy at all. And I do not want him in the side, at all. So that for me is my passionate rant about the Granit Xhaka situation. In terms of Unai Emery, what I have to sit and say about Unai Emery at the moment is that he's tactically clueless. It is tactically clueless, in my opinion. Now, he's got no understanding at the back. He's playing David Luiz and Socrates together. Okay, still playing Socrates and Luiz together. Now, I know they both scored yesterday, but they are clueless playing together. Lee calls them the Chuckle Brothers. I think that's an understatement. I think they're even worse than that. Honestly, they are shockingly bad. You've got Danny Ceballos, who is now our holding midfielder, it seems, along with Granit Xhaka, because we've seen no creativity from the lad since he's played in his debut against Burnley at home. So I don't know what he's being asked to do now. You've got the best player on the pitch every single week consistently in Matteo Guendouzi showing the most passion, and he can't seem to work that front three together. So my question is, what's he doing in midfield? Because the front three can't get anywhere on the ball. Aubameyang, invisible again yesterday. Lacazette trying, but having to come deep because no one's giving him the service. Pepe likewise. So that's a problem in midfield. He's got everybody fit now, apart from Reece Nelson, I believe, who's not fit. So he can use these players. What's Martinelli got to do more to get any minutes? That's my question. I don't understand that whatsoever, right? And then you've got this nonsense at the back where Tierney's now finally come in. Bellerin still isn't fit, apparently, but we've still got Rob Holding, who's our best defender, sitting on the bench. It's a complete and utter mess at the moment and a shambles, and I don't understand what's going to be happening. It worries me in the next few weeks because we've got Liverpool, which I believe we probably go out of because I reckon they'll play a mix and could beat our kids up at Anfield a bit. We've got Wolves, don't see 3 points. Leicester, definite 0 points there. So then we got another international break. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if we don't see Unai Emery as Arsenal manager after the international break, and I would be absolutely shocked if he's still our manager in January.
Can I come in here on this
yeah, of course you can, mate. I was just about to hand it over to you anyway. Nicely set up, Dan.
First of all, you say that the captaincy is the biggest privilege to an Arsenal fan, and I agree with you. For me or you, it would be, but Granit Xhaka isn't an Arsenal fan. Okay, so as a human being, you would react to that level of abuse. Now, it would be naive to think that this reaction from Granit Xhaka was based solely on yesterday, because it wasn't. As Lee said, there was jeers against Aston Villa, ironic cheers when he was taken off. There was ironic cheers at Bramall Lane. This was the third time this happened in 4 games. Okay, he's not been the worst player in those games. He's been taken off, as Lee said, for tactical reasons. Tactical reasons that this clown Unai Emery thinks that you can dominate a game by taking off your entire midfield and expecting you to have possession and to control possession. The fact of the matter is this: the fans were bang out of order yesterday, and I know you guys are not the type, and I know that you didn't boo him or whatever, but the board goes up with his number, and the ironic cheers happen way before Granit Xhaka gets in a strop, throws the armband on the floor, storms off the way he did. And some people are going on, they're going, oh, but the fans were just trying to tell him to hurry up. That wasn't telling him to hurry up. There were people around me screaming, fuck off, Xhaka, excuse my language, and all sorts of expletives at him, because this has been boiling up for months and months and months. And this situation could have been prevented had Unai Emery managed the team properly. Granit Xhaka has had to deactivate the comments on his social media months ago because of the abuse he was getting. Now, am I defending his actions? No, I don't want to see any Arsenal captain throw an armband on the floor. I don't want to see an Arsenal captain react the way he did. But he's a human being, and you've got to accept that in the heat of a moment, if you've got 60,000 of your own supporters shouting abuse at you, it's going to get to you. It didn't get to him just yesterday. It's been getting to him for weeks and for months, and that was the boiling point. The problem is now that he probably is never going to recover from that, and there's no going back. But it's a shame, and it's a situation.
Do you think he should, though, Harry? Do you think that he should now?
What, come back?
Yeah, do you think? I don't think he's done, surely.
Well, I think he's done as well. But the thing is,
run out of players, so won't we?
I'll tell you what really what pissed me off as well. I mean, Unai Emery is a bit of a coward, because for me, if I was Unai Emery, now you're the one that made him the captain. You're the one that picks him every fucking week. And I don't buy this narrative of, oh, the players voted for him. You're the
not at all,
manager.
right.
Show some bottle and make a decision. Stop shying away from one of the most crucial decisions you will make. Granit Xhaka is your captain. He's your man. You back him. So when he does what he does, if I was Unai Emery in the post-match interview, I'm not saying that I would condone his actions because they were wrong, and I stick by that. But what I would have done is I would have given him a little bit, given him a little bit in the sense of saying, Xhaka is growing frustrated by the receptions he's been receiving. I know Emery's not the greatest communicator, but this is where the communication is an issue again. But give him something that, like, hold out some sort of olive branch in the sense of, there's a human side of it. Hector Bellerin's come out and done it today. Why is Hector Bellerin got to do that?
Yeah.
Harry, I've got the Hector Bellerin quote here. He says, "We are all humans. We all have emotions, and sometimes it's not easy dealing with them. It's time to lift each other up, not push each other away. We only win when we are together." Yeah,
exactly.
That's from Hector Bellerin.
So Hector Bellerin has basically, he's not condoned Xhaka's actions. He's not said it was right what Xhaka done, but at the same time, he's acknowledged that Xhaka got frustrated, and that's what you need to do as a manager, because now Granit Xhaka and Unai Emery's relationship, it ain't going to be the same. And Emery's put his faith in this guy. So what? He's built his season's plans around this guy, and now because he threw a strop and he told a few people to F off, what, you're going to scrap him now, and we're going to go from the start again. The whole thing has been managed wrongly. I don't condone his actions, but the fact that Torreira was so visibly upset, the fact that 3 players or whatever it was went to Xhaka's house last night to chat to him because of how distraught he was around the whole situation, tells you that a lot of those players are behind Granit Xhaka in this. And then there is a divide. And now the divide, before it was the fans versus Wenger, now it's becoming the players versus the fans. And the manager is not managing this situation correctly, and it's only going to end up one way.
Well, that's what I meant. That's what I meant. One second, Graham. That's what I was saying when I was talking about the divide with the Wenger thing. I think this is getting bigger. The fans versus the players, and I mean, it's going to end in tears. But what does everyone? My question is, sorry, Graham, now for cutting across here, but there's been no apology yet. He hasn't come out. He hasn't come out. Graham, how do you feel about that, Graham? The captain of Arsenal.
Well, that's funny enough, Craig. That's what I was going to say. I think the first thing that should have happened last night was he should have apologised, and I still think he should apologise.
No, the window's too long now, Graham. The window's too long now. The apology.
No, he needs to come. He needs to come out and apologise, Dan. He needs to. And I know people are going to say if he comes out and apologises now, it's going to be by the club, or he's going to be pushed into it. But he still needs to do it. He needs to come out and apologise. Whatever. Even if he apologised last night, people would have sort of like questioned it anyway. So he couldn't really win, but he just needs to apologise. That's the first thing. Now, can he come back from this? Now, I've seen players commit worse things than this and come back from it. I can remember Eric Cantona jumping into the crowd and kicking a fan in the head at Crystal Palace, and he came back. I know it's a different thing, but I'm just saying players commit worse things and come back. I just think he needs to apologise. I think the thing with it is that I think that the one problem I've got with the way the Xhaka thing has played out is that, and I know that Harry's a big fan of Xhaka. His performances this year have dipped, right? I don't think he's as remotely bad as what people make him out to be, right? That's the first thing. But he is too error-prone. I just don't see him as a captain. I think he gets stressed on the pitch. And he can't deal with sort of stress and pressure. And I don't think so he doesn't set the right example on the pitch for me. So he does have his flaws. But if you're playing him, and I think Lee's touched on it in the past, you need to have someone next to him, like a ball winner, like a Torreira. Because last year, I think his best performances came next to Torreira pre-Christmas in that 4-2-3-1. There was one absolutely outstanding game against Liverpool when them as a two, and a double pivot were absolutely superb. So I think he's been hung out to dry by the manager. He's playing him, as Lee said, either at the tip of a diamond where Torreira should be playing, or he's not mobile enough to cover the space. And you see it in games, he can't get across, right? But next to somebody who sort of like can do that work for him, he's a deep lying playmaker. He's got that ability on the ball. So if you're going to play him, at least put him in the team in a position where you're going to get the qualities out of him. So
I was just going to bring this one in. Michael, thanks for the kind donation, mate. Thank you very much indeed. And he says, are the players sending a message to the fans, and hoping to stop booing with the positivity and unity posts? If an apology is made now, it will be called a PR stunt. What do you say about that, Lee?
No, listen. Let's get this right about Granit Xhaka. He's upset with what's gone on. You know what I mean? I'm not condoning what he's done, but if you've got 50,000 fans, there's probably 40,000 in there going, wanting him to come off and tune the car. He's upset. He's upset with the fans. He's angry, right? He's walked into the dressing room. I wouldn't be surprised if he's kicked a few things in there, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Then he's gone home. He's angry at this moment in time. Let him cool off. And then he'll realise that he's made a mistake, like we've all done before.
That's a good point, yeah.
We've all done it before. And then, so I don't buy this once he's calmed down, then you make an apology. When he sits down and thinks about it, in the cool light of day, I think that he's realised that he's made a mistake. I also think, right, that the captaincy now is going to be difficult for him to come back to. But I can see Granit Xhaka being playing on against Wolves. I can see that happening against Wolves. The manager really likes him. I think there's other things that are going on at the club as well, which this is now a fantastic, what's it like, covering up a lot of stuff. The manager's under pressure, and the board go and put Mourinho in the director's box for a game. What's all that about? You know what I mean? Like, there's so many things wrong at this football club at the moment that that the manager's under a slight bit of pressure. So what do? You go and get Mourinho in there. Now we talk about class, and we can talk about that. Arsene Wenger, right, has got every right to walk into that ground at any time that he would like to. He's not gone in there once. Why has he not gone in there once? Out of respect for the manager that's in there now, to put no pressure on him. Mourinho don't give a monkeys about that. He's in there parading it, and we've got directors loading it up. He's having a free meal and all that there from a bloke that's criticised and slagged off our club. They don't invite any of us up there that have supported the club all this time, but they're inviting a man that's slagged us off. So, I've been up there, but not by their invite. You know what I mean? Like, but what I'm saying is that they've slagged. I'm there supporting the company, slagged them off and all that. Like, so there's pressure mounting all over the place. Right now, this has happened on top of everything there. So, as much as I think that Emery should go, and I definitely think that he should go, I think that sometimes maybe he's making decisions now under untold pressure. Like, for me, when I think to myself, I've sat there today and I thought, right, you're 2-2, not really in the ascendancy, but we need a goal. And I look on the bench and there's Martinelli warming up, Granit Xhaka, Kolasinac and Sacco. So for my job's on the line here, which one am I going to put on out of them? Two of them, three am I going to put on? Like, you know what I mean? He puts on the left back and a midfield player that scored one goal between them, and Martinelli, who scored 5 in 4 games. It's an absolute baffling decision. Why is he doing that? Because I think that he's under pressure. He's all over the place at the moment, and it's just not right. And
if he can't handle it, though, he's not big enough for Arsenal. If he can't handle, we're not even in a pressure situation at the moment. We're 4 points outside of the top 4 or something like that. We're only in October. It's not even a pressure situation. If he's cracking up in October, then he's not the man. It's as simple as that.
Just before we move on, because we'll come to Emery, and I'll start with you, Graham. I've just got to bring this question. I've just got to bring this question up here. Karen says, "What did the panel think of Guendouzi did to Zaha?" For me, I loved it. I have to agree, Karen. It was a thing of absolute fantastic beauty. I loved it.
Can I just say about Zaha, though? I will say this as well. Don't think the board can get away with everything at the moment in time, because Emery come out and turned around and said the man that he wanted was Zaha. Well, I see the real deal. I see what was worth £72 million yesterday and what was worth £80 million yesterday. Because I tell you what, he was an absolute. He made Pepe look like Pepsi Light. It was like it was unbelievable. Like, you know what I mean? Like
the only thing is, Lee. Just one thing, right? Listen. Listen. Look. Do you think? Just be honest, though. Let's think about it, right? If you had Pepe playing for Crystal Palace, you had Zaha playing for Arsenal. Just flip that around a minute and think whether Zaha will be as effective for Arsenal. And what I mean by that is that Palace play on the counter attack, don't they? They play on the counter attack. They play like a 4-4-5-1. It's 4-2. It's 4-2-3, 4-3-2-1, but it's a 4-5-1. And all they do is Io or another striker is like the link for Zaha, and they play on the counter attack. So he gets all the ball. Now, if Pepe was in that position, he would be running. He would be looking good running at our defence, wouldn't he? The way he used to run for Lille. Remember, last year, Lee. Last year, only Messi and Ronaldo scored more goals, had more assists than Pepe in Europe, right? So I think that Zaha, if he was playing for Arsenal, wouldn't be playing on the counter attack, would he? He'd be playing the same sort of role as Pepe.
Yeah, I get that, Graham. But what Zaha does, which Pepe doesn't do, is he takes on the player inside and outside. Pepe just comes inside all the time. That's the thing. The reason he got the penalty yesterday because he goes to go inside and goes outside, and we haven't got no one that does that. And listen, if Pepe doesn't change his game, right, he will get pretty sus very, very quickly. And Sheffield United done it, Graham, when they just said, right, let him get on the ball, keep the outside shut, and bring him into all the crowd, and eventually we'll get him with it. If it ain't one midfielder, it'll be the other. Put him into the traffic. It's a saying in football. Bring him into the traffic, and we'll win the ball. And that is exactly what they've done. I think that Roy Hodgson done that to a safe bet as well. But with Zaha, watching him yesterday, and I can tell you that I don't know how you felt about this, but I watched him in the first. He was uncomfortable in that first 20 minutes because he didn't really know what he was doing. He just thought, I'll just play and do little things like that. But then he got into the game, and the more and more he got into the game, he just don't know what way he's going to go. He can go right, he can go left, and he can deliver. And he caused us all sorts of problems in the end. And also what he can do, Graham, which is another thing that he can do, like he did with the Guendouzi one at the end there. If he can't go right around the outside, he can't come inside, he can just knock it and go because he's got terrific pace. I think he's a great player. And the fact of the matter is, Emery turned around at the beginning of the season and said, that's the one I want. And the board did not back him, and they went and got Pepsi Light. You know what I mean? That's what
but we couldn't get him, could we? Because they wanted 80 million, and they wanted more money up front, didn't they? That's the reason why we got Pepe.
That's what
simply because the deal was structured
so you pay for what you
years.
get, Graham, don't you? You know what I mean? Like it's as simple as that.
So they couldn't give him what he wanted.
I still think he's going to come good though. I do.
I think what they wanted.
With Emery,
they sold so many players. This is what I'm saying. They didn't give him what he wanted. They got rid of Iwobi. They sold so many players. How much money did they really spend?
What are you saying? He didn't want those to go. He didn't want those to go.
I'm not saying he wanted them to go, but like what he's done, they got rid of those players and never really backed it up. They must have sold £80 million worth of players in the summer.
I think you see how he reacts, right? The way he's not playing Torreira at DM tells me he didn't want Torreira. I know he wanted what's the guy at Seville? Nzonzi. He wanted Nzonzi. So he didn't get who he wanted at DM. So we've seen what he said. What he's saying to the board is, I don't rate Torreira as a DM. I wanted Nzonzi. You didn't get him for me, right? So
and they're still backing him. What's he still doing now?
Well, I think the thing is, you can't argue that he hasn't got a team packed with talented players. They just can't function out of the way he wants them to play. That's the problem at the moment. So who's to say if Zaha came into his team, whether he'd function in the way he does?
Yeah,
he's a star. He's a star in the Palace team, isn't he? He's a star in the Palace team. He wouldn't be the star in the Arsenal team, would he? That's the point.
Well, it would be.
I still think he's going to come good.
I think just coming back, Craig, before you come back in on the Emery thing, I see today David Ornstein's come out and said, and he's normally the oracle, isn't he? He said that the hierarchy is saying that there will be no knee-jerk reaction, and Emery's here for the season. So I don't know what you boys think about that.
Just before we move on to the manager, and I just get my point. I still think Pepe's going to come good, and I still think we'll see the best of him yet.
I need to
really
get
do.
that down on record. That's a good
He's
thing.
adapting. He's adapting.
Yeah,
I think he will. I've got no doubt about that. But you know, at this moment in time, you either get the what I see yesterday was the complete player and one that's trying
but
to
the
be
point,
like
yeah,
each other.
but I think the point is, Lee, is that as someone's just said in the chat, Zaha's been playing for Palace for 10 years. Pepe's been here for
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
it's a very good point. That was from Dan.
well said, Dan.
Bergkamp Wonderland.
Oh,
Right.
it was Dan. No,
Yeah, it was
not
Dan.
well said.
Yeah.
Cheers,
Right.
mate.
Should we give away this membership pack?
Yes,
we move on?
yes. Woo.
So, for those of you who weren't here at the start, there's 785 of you watching. Congratulations, that's a record. Thank you very much indeed. That's our highest live view count ever. Thank you very much indeed. So, if you weren't here at the start of the show, we've got a 2019-2020 membership pack to give away. Not asking where he got them from. I won't ask no questions. He won't tell me no lies. But look, he's got one there to give away, and we want to give it away to one of you. So, I think the only fair way we're going to do this is I'm going to ask a question, and I'm going to give a minute for everyone to get their answers in here, because not everyone's on Twitter. So to make it fair, you're all in here. Okay. So you're going to type in the answer, and then I'll count out how many correct answers there is, and then I'll ask Lee for a number. Okay. Whatever number he picks, that's the winner. I think that's the only fair way we can do it, innit? Does that sound fair enough?
Yeah. I think.
Is everyone happy with that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Question, Lee. Ask the question.
No, you ask a question. The
Oh,
host.
come on, you ask the question. Your question. Come on.
My question. The question then, right? You know, name the first Arsenal player to score a hat trick in the Premier League.
You got a minute. Let's go. Who's the first Arsenal player to score a Premier League hat trick? Go. Let's go. I've got to bring this up as well. This will be quite funny. Look at this. That.
Someone's put Mesut Ozil. There's some lovers in him. Mesut Ozil. Something he just can't do anything wrong in somebody's eyes. There, love it, love it.
People telling me to get on with it. We're doing a giveaway. Have some patience. Come on.
There's only one person who's got it right so far.
Two.
Is there two?
There is. I'm skipping down through all of them here now.
I got it right. Am I in the running? I got it right before we come on air.
Yeah, you're in the running. Yeah.
No, but unfortunately, there's what's that word?
Charlie. George Charlie. Who's George Charlie?
Someone's put Harry. Someone's put Harry Simeon.
Can I tell you a story while you're doing it? Right, I went to record my show at Arsenal Fan TV, and they actually had a fire drill. Right, they had a fire drill. Right, so we all gathered outside. Right, so there's about 3 offices. This wasn't this week. This was last week, by the way. And we all gathered outside. So there's 3 offices outside. The fire brigade are on the way, and they're doing like the count of the people. And the woman who works for Arsenal Fan TV come along, taking the name. She went, Robbie. That's Robbie. That's Ty. That's Brendan. And who are you? And I went, Unai Emery. And she wrote my name down as Unai Emery.
Right.
I wish you was in Emery, Graham. We might win a few games.
Okay, Lee, we've got, count them out now. We've got 9 right answers. A number between 1 and 9, please, sir.
1 and 9. We'll go for the number that he played in then, for some part of his career. Number 7.
Someone just made a comment and I've lost it now. What about that for an anticlimax? One second. Where's it gone? Oh,
Mickey Quinn.
I can't believe I found it. I can't believe I lost it. It's all right. I know the 9th one. I've just got to find it. Sorry now. Absolutely very unprofessional of me. 1 second.
Danny's even give the team in the year. Well, I'll tell you, that's very impressive.
Danny likes Danny. What he's on his old Google, isn't he?
He's on Google, isn't he? Like, yeah.
Here it is. Here it is. Drum roll, please. And the winner is Tim Smith. Congratulations,
well done, Tim. Like,
yeah. Kevin
well done,
Campbell. Tim. Congratulations.
Should have got that knowing really he's a friend of the show, so it was.
Well, he had every chance as everyone else. So fair play to you, Tim. If you get in contact with us on Twitter, mate, and send us your address, and we will get that sent.
This is on the way to you. This is on the way to you. Nice
well
little
done,
hat,
mate.
by the way, as well. It's a nice hat as well, like, you know.
And
nice.
probably without asking,
Can we give away a second? We didn't get Xhaka's shirt yesterday as a second prize, did we? When he threw it down the tunnel.
No.
I've got it because I'm the only one he likes. And John.
Very good, Harry. Very good. Okay, so we now move on to the manager. Like I said, last week I was on the fence. I come down from that fence last week, and by Christ, I haven't had any reason to climb back up on it again. But he's got to go now. I can't believe it. In my personal opinion, I can't believe he hasn't been sacked today. I really can't. He should have been sacked today.
Why?
He shouldn't. Oh, Graham, it's not going to happen, mate. Come on. He doesn't know. He doesn't know his best 11. He doesn't know where. He doesn't know the positions for his players. He's playing players all over the place. He can't motivate. None of them can understand him. This has come out in the press. None of them can understand him. It's causing issues in the dressing room. You know, with that team that he's got, that ain't a bad squad. To be honest, it's a bloody good one. But it's not going to happen. And what Lee said last night in his Arsenal Fan TV interview, you know, about it's going to cost us $6 million to sack him now, or it's going to cost us $45 million in the long run. And when he said that, it just hits it home, Graham. He's got to go. I don't want it. Look, I really wanted him to succeed. I really, really did. And I was half of me is asking, you know, I still want him to turn it round. But no, it's not going to happen, Graham. It's not going to happen.
As all Arsenal fans, we want him to turn it around because we don't want to see us losing games. You know,
yes.
What I mean? But I've got I'll tell you, I've got Ken and Russ, Red Ken and Russ Saguna, right? And I think Russ is in the chat now. Like, you know, they were very staunch. You know, get the Wenger out, bring in a new manager, and really, really backed Emery, right? But both now, for nothing personal, but for footballing reasons, have now both turned around to me over the course of the Sheffield United and the game yesterday. Oh, he's got to go.
What's his remit, Lee? What is his remit? His remit, right, is to get us back in the Champions League. Okay, that's why he was brought in. He's a specialist in winning the Europa League. He's won that 3 times. And his remit is to get us back in the Champions League within 2 years, or an option of a 3rd year, right? So all I'm doing here is playing devil's advocate, right? I'm not an Emery in, I'm not an Emery out, right? But I just think in 2 weeks, how can we suddenly go from where we were to where we are now?
Because it's not 2 weeks, Graham. It's not 2 weeks.
No. Listen, 2 weeks ago we weren't saying Emery out, were we? 2 weeks ago, I know the problems are there. I can name the problems, right? You know, I watched the games.
You should have been gone ages ago, mate. You should have been gone at the end of last
season. Graham, listen. I'm trying to put the counter argument here, right? And I know I'll probably get slaughtered.
Let him finish.
Listen. Let me put the counter argument. I'll make it clear. I'm not Emery in. I'm not Emery out. And I hate it when we get into this situation. We have to be Emery in or Emery out, like we were with Wenger in, Wenger out. Now, do you remember Arsene Wenger used to say, "Respect the values of the club," right? Respect the values of the club, right? And I agree with what Dan said. He earned that right because he had tremendous success in the first half of his tenure. and he, as Dan said, he's left me with wonderful memories. I can see all the faults with Emery at the moment, but his remit is right all the time. We can still achieve the objective. I think you have to sort of like give him a bit longer. And at the moment, we're only 4 points from the top 4. Okay, I have to say it doesn't look like we're going to get. Listen, at the moment, I would say what I'm going to say is all the time at the moment that he can achieve his objective within 2 years. I think you stick with him.
Right.
When it starts looking like he's not going to,
so that's exactly. So when he can't do it, you're then going to pull the gun. What's the point?
Yeah, no, because at the moment he's just 4 points off the top 4. If it's suddenly, I can't see it happening at the moment. There's so many problems in our play. You know, I look at the team at the moment that there's lots of faults in our style of play. We play too close to our goal. We don't exit very well. We have no ability to go long. We struggle with progression up the pitch. The passing's too slow. There's no game strategy pattern. I get all that, and I'll see it right. But at the still 5th. It's amazing that we're still 5th on the run of form we are, but we are. And if we were to beat Wolves and then all of a sudden not lose at Leicester, then we'd be looking at it totally different. All the time, I would say we're still close to that top 4. And it's not as if there's another manager out there. Who are you going to replace him with then? Who's going to come in? Who is going to take his place? Right,
I just want to get this question out. This is for all of us. Pick one out of the 2 options. We'll start with you, Graham. Keep Emery, get top 4 with no identity and give him another season. Or B, sack Emery now, Freddie in as manager. We play with style and identity, but miss out on top 4.
I would move on.
I'm just saying. Look, you can't say because if Freddie takes over, you don't know he's going to change it. You know, yes,
Graham,
you could argue. Listen,
all right,
I know what you're going to say. Lee, the Europa League games under Freddie are different. I know that.
Forget the Europa League. Yeah. I'm going to give you £100 now, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you believe we're going to get top 4 at this moment in time? The way we're playing, do you think that we're going to get top 4?
In 1998, I didn't think we were going to win the Premier League, but we won it. We were 14 points behind Man United in January, and we won it.
But did you think we'd win it?
I think. Pardon?
Did you think we were going to win it?
What, the Premier League?
When we were 14 points behind, did you think we were going to win the league?
No, I didn't think we were going to. To be honest, but I'm just making a point.
I think that's.
Freddie,
emotions are high at the moment, and to be honest with you, I see lots of problems, right? And I talk about them all the time. I just think that all the time, and I know, I said it today. I did a show with Robbie in London. I think now we're a society. As a society, we're a throwaway society now, right? So, like, I made a point that in my mum and dad's generation, they literally had a TV. They didn't replace it until it literally conked out. Now, if we don't like something, we change it. So it's a bit like, you know, marriages. Just if you don't like your wife, you change her. And if you don't like your manager, football fans want him changed. I think the thing is, I hate
We've
that.
not been like that,
football is reflecting
we've had 20
society.
years with the same manager. You can't pull that at Arsenal's door. Arsenal have been fantastic with their managers. But the fact of the matter is,
that's right, and I want us to still be fantastic, like managers, right?
But if they hadn't been ruthless with Bruce Rioch, we would have never got Arsene Wenger and the great times that we had there. You know what I mean? Like, this manager is.
I agree with you there. And Bruce Rioch, the job was too big for Bruce Rioch, wasn't it? And you could argue it's too big for Emery. I think Harry's made that point. And we've got the same sort of things here. With the Ian Wright was the one who forced Bruce Rioch out because Wright was bigger than Rioch.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true.
And that's what went on there, right? I still think that all the time he can get us in that top 4. I think you should persevere with him. I think by Christmas we know where we are. All right, and if he is not no closer to that top 4, if we are like you think we're going to be 7 or 8, 9 points, 10 points off the top 4, that could be a time to pull the plug. But at the moment, he's only 4 points, and we're talking about 2 weeks ago when we beat Bournemouth. No one was saying Emery out, were they?
No, but this is the thing,
Graham. Let Harry talk. Just one thing. They're not saying it at Bournemouth. They were saying this at Liverpool. Away from home when we lost to Liverpool, and I was there sticking up for people, sticking up for Emery, going give him time. This has been rumbling not since Bournemouth. This has been rumbling since the tactical performance at Liverpool. Harry, far away.
Did you think we were going to win at Liverpool then if he had tactically been brilliant? I didn't.
Well, Tottenham put a great show up yesterday. They didn't win, but
They lost.
But
But
done better than us.
it's not about necessarily the results. The results have been masked by two things. Number one, the fact that some of the teams around us, some of our competitors, Spurs have been in absolute disarray. Manchester United have been poor. Chelsea had a bit of a shaky start. All right, they've hit the ground running now, but initially they started poorly. So we had an advantage over those sides. People look at results. It's not just about, I know ultimately you need to get the results, but you cannot sustain results if you don't play good football and you don't have a plan.
I agree with you. You're right there, Harry.
And that's the problem. Everyone looks at the results and says, "Oh, we're only 2 points outside. We're only 3 points." But if we dropped 2 valuable points at home yesterday, there's a good chance that Wolves could come to the Emirates and get a draw. We know exactly what they're all about, and in my opinion, they've got more quality than Crystal Palace, so they could punish you. And then we play Leicester, so you could potentially be talking about where 9 points out of it. And then it becomes a problem and it's dangerous and it's too much. And why let it get to that point if you're sitting there and you're looking at what's going on and you don't think it's going anywhere? You need to pull the plug at some point. There's no point in doing, we were great with Arsene Wenger and he had that credit in the bank and we left him there too long, in my opinion, and we fell further than we should have. But Emery don't have that credit in the bank. I've got no loyalty to Unai Emery whatsoever. I couldn't give a toss.
I could understand it, Harry, if there's a big manager out there, somebody who could come in, right? And we're talking about a bit like the Man United route, isn't it? When you got rid of they replaced Ferguson with Moyes, and I think we should look at Man United.
Allegri's sitting at home doing nothing.
Also, Graham, what we're not
Allegri's doing nothing.
What we're not mentioning here, and I think is the big elephant in the room, is that he's lost the dressing room. He's clearly lost the dressing room. So I don't understand why we're persevering with a man who the players don't want to play for. It's clear and evident that he's lost the dressing room.
Well, I can't argue against
I see what Graham's coming up with some good points of it all, and he's backing the manager, and that's fair. That's fair enough. But my problem is this is not been like a knee-jerk reaction over 2 weeks ago. This go from last 6 games of last season to now. I think someone said in the chat would be 17th. We've won 4 games out of 17 or something like that. That is not good enough. And people have lost their jobs for a lot worse than that, Graham. And the thing is, people keep going on to me, about Liverpool and about Klopp. And I said it in a tweet today. It didn't stop them getting rid of Roy Hodgson after a year because they knew that he was the wrong man for a job. They realised that he wasn't the right man for a job, and they went and got rid of him. Kenny Dalglish come in, and as good as Kenny Dalglish, a hero that he was, bang, they done the same with him. And when things were going wrong with Brendan Rodgers, they got rid of Brendan Rodgers in October. They knew that they could get Jurgen Klopp then. That's why they done that. And that was ruthless. And if we are not ruthless, right, if we're not ruthless, we are going to be left behind again, missing out on a top-class manager that's about, as Harry just turned around and said, Allegri's available. If we can't get him, then go looking for some. I'll be very, very surprised if Arsenal ain't active looking for somebody at this moment in time. Because if they're not doing their jobs.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with you.
Would you give it? There's a good question coming in the chat. If Thierry Henry was available, would you give it to him?
No,
he wasn't a success in France, was he?
No, I wouldn't give it to him. No,
he did. In fairness to him, he did take a poison chalice of a job. He took over a Monaco side that were in decline, and Jardim's gone back
all
there
their
now,
players,
and they're still not doing anything.
The way I look at it, if there's an upgrade available, if Allegri was available, a top class manager was available, you would take it, wouldn't you? But is there someone out there who can do that job?
There's someone I would bring in tomorrow, and that would be Rafa Benitez. That? Rafa Benitez, I'd bring him in tomorrow.
Would you take Rafa Benitez, Lee?
Yeah, I would take Rafa Benitez. I'd take him because I think he could sort out our defence. Listen, I'll take anybody over this manager at the moment because what I'm seeing, Graham, is this. I see us conceding silly goals week in, week out. I see the same defenders playing week in, week out. I see a midfield that's not got, which you criticise every week. No shape, the wrong players in there, and whatever. I see 3 exciting forwards, right, not getting a shot at Sheffield United. Not one of them. You know what I mean? I think Pepe did like in the second half, which went over the bar. You know, I see times when he doesn't know what to do with Lacazette and Aubameyang. He doesn't know what to do with them two there. You know what I mean? Like, what more? You know, what more?
Can't carry on like this, man.
It can't carry on.
It can't carry on like this now. We've got the third best squad in the league, and we're playing worse football. We should be waving goodbye to Man United and Tottenham by now. We should be way ahead of them.
Point.
We should be way ahead and laughing at everything that's going on at Tottenham and laughing at everything that's going on at Man United, and we can't because we're just about as bad as them at the moment in terms of us playing football. I can't watch this team much longer. It is absolutely abysmal watching what's trying to happen at the moment. It's not fun. I don't enjoy it. It's not entertaining. And the one thing about Arsene Wenger was we couldn't defend, but at least we went and scored and we had an attacking philosophy. At the moment, I don't see any philosophy or any understanding whatsoever. And I just don't think it can go on anymore. Who we get in, I don't really care at the moment, if I'm honest with you, because I don't actually believe that.
It's like, do you know what it is? You know the Man United situation where Mourinho was there and everything turned toxic and he lost the dressing room and all that. There's no question that Mourinho has been a fantastic manager. You don't just become a crap manager overnight, but sometimes the relationships just go beyond repair. And I feel like we're at that point. And I know, like, I'm not going to sit here and say Freddie Ljungberg will 100% be a better manager than Unai Emery, but if you remove Unai Emery, I guarantee you'll see an immediate upturn, like you saw at Man United with Solskjaer.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily
silly and then give him the job. Yeah,
it's not necessarily sustainable.
Great point.
And the long-term answer, but sometimes you just need that. You need that kind of character that's going to strip everything back, forget the complicated tactics, and go back to, I need to get these players playing for me. It's like Frank Lampard. He's got the players playing for him. The other day, they asked him about Pulisic's great performance, and his first thing was to deflect the praise onto Pulisic. That is a manager who has gone into a job and has stripped everything back. And, you know, I was skeptical of him going in there, but he's got everybody on his side, and that is half the battle. Probably not.
Well, you know what's interesting? No. What's interesting there, Harry, and it's a great point about Frank Lampard and Chelsea, because would this Arsenal squad go to Ajax and win 1-0 away? No. Would this Arsenal squad then come back on the Saturday evening and go 4-0 up against Burnley away? No, they would not, because our mentality is so weak. And that's why I believe that Frank Lampard has got such a great job there that he is doing with those kids, because he's lost his best player. He's got some players that are coming to an end of their era, like Pedro and Willian and players like that. Even Azpilicueta, to a degree, is now coming up to 30. And he's put in the players and given their full trust in them. And let's just see what Freddie Ljungberg has done. And let's see if it's true about what Harry said about Freddie with the Europa League games that he was taking charge of, and the cup games, because Thursday night's game was definitely not a Freddie Ljungberg coach.
I echo what you listen.
It was so easy. It was so easy to see the difference, wasn't it?
So obvious.
Listen, Dan, I echo what you say about Frank Lampard, but just 3 points on that. He hasn't beaten a big team yet. You say about Ajax, but Ajax they're not the Ajax of last season. And while we're talking about it, Ajax manager would probably be really good for Arsenal, wouldn't he? Because he's got the philosophy of sort of football to be like, sort of like we have the ability to play one touch and move with technical ability, and he asks from the players. But Lampard hasn't beaten a big team yet, has he? He lost to Liverpool in the Super Cup. He lost at Man United. He lost to Liverpool in the league.
One thing I will say about that is that when it does come around, those Chelsea players are going to be full of confidence that they can beat the big teams.
Yeah, and also I was comparing with Arsenal. I'm not saying Chelsea have beaten big sides. I'm just comparing what Arsenal would do against Ajax away and Burnley away. I don't think we win 4-2 and 1-0. Personally, that's just me.
Mind you, Arsenal haven't beaten a big side this year neither.
Great shout. It's true though, isn't it? It is true.
Well, and this thing about
Spurs and play Liverpool.
I don't even think that's that much of an issue. If you beat the sides, if you beat the sides you should beat over the course of a season, you'll finish in the top 4.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if you lost to all the big six sides.
Listen, the point I'm trying to make here, I just want to throw the counter Emery argument out there, because I think, I look at all of you, you're all Emery out. So I just basically wanted to throw the argument. The argument is whether you give him that time. And for example, I know that Ornstein has come out today. He's normally quite accurate and turns around and says that the hierarchy are not going to have any knee-jerk reaction. They're going to give him more time. And the argument is that he signed a 2-year contract to get us back in the Champions League. And if he doesn't do it, I think he'd be gone. I would accept if he doesn't get us back in 2 years, he has to go. He has to go.
That's fair enough. And Graham makes a good point. He's on a 2-year contract. The club are obviously going to keep him there. We've seen it, like Graham says. Orstein's come out and he said, there's no knee-jerk reaction going to happen. He's got 2 years, and he's got 2 years. I can't see him. I can't see him being here at the end of this season.
If it carries on as it is, he won't be there. The
Wolves and Leicester next, innit? Wolves and Leicester next. I'll be delighted with 1 point out of those 2 games. The way we're playing, delighted.
I could probably see that. I mean, even though we say 2 years, lose against Leicester and lose against Wolves. Curtains. Gotta be.
And guess what's after that?
Didn't I?
Guess what's after the
international break.
International break.
And I said that, didn't I?
See you later. Yeah, you
I
did
said
say
that
that.
last week. International. If it's Wolves and Leicester that we lose to, it'll be gone, and that needs to happen. We can't lose to Wolves and Leicester now. It's madness. But who says that we're not going to? Wolves are a good side. Leicester away, absolutely ridiculous game to try and win. And I can't see him staying if that happens. I really can't.
Let's hope that we win those games, though.
Can we just go back to the?
We all want it. We all want that. We all want that.
Can I just say that the 2 things that really disappoint me about Emery, there's a few things disappoint me, but do you know what? When he came, he said he wanted us to be a pressing team, didn't he? I didn't see hardly any pressing in that game against.
No.
And also he wanted us
to improve.
And he wants us to play out from the back, doesn't he? And we haven't got the players to play out from the back. So that's. Do you know what?
Apparently, he's made us more competitive. Apparently, he's made us more competitive. That's what he says.
And he's
one
lost
final
his files.
point.
He must have had a fire at home.
One final point. I read the program. Do you read the program at the games, Lee? I know you're too busy drinking half pints, normally.
I do have a little look, but the writing's so small. Did
you see what he said after the game against Vitória, or the Portuguese side, where he said he was a bit disappointed with the attack on Thursday? They play with heart and emotion. He'd rather have a more structured attack.
You said that in the interview, didn't you?
Do you know what? I said that. I just can't get my head around that. Why would you want a structured attack? You want sort of like unpredictability and freedom in your, and you want the structure in your defence and your midfield, don't you? I mean, look at Pep Guardiola. He says it's structured up to the attack, and then he just lets them do what they like, doesn't he?
Exactly, and that's how it is. Listen, any coach will tell you from that it's easier to coach a defensive side than it is an attacking side. It's easier to coach,
and that's what he's good at, isn't he? He's good at setting us up against the better sides.
Yeah.
Anyway, Craig, there's a donation come in from Michael Hahnemann.
He says, "If we're gonna finish it on this. If we don't make the top 4 through the league, but somehow win the Europa League, do you give Emery a new deal?"
I could go first on that, Michael. Definitely no.
This is going to sound ridiculous, and I know I'm going to get a lot of stick for this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I would rather that we don't get in the Champions League and we move Emery on than we do qualify and we keep him, because genuinely, I think he's an awful manager and he's dragging us down. And, if by some miracle we do achieve it, it will be papering over the cracks, and our board, who are not ambitious whatsoever, will do what they always do, and they'll just keep the status quo rather than actually shaking things up and actually trying to move this club forward. So in my opinion, it's better if we drop out of the Champions League, because that's the only way they're going to do something when it hits their bloody pockets.
Dan?
I can't play Thursday night football for another season, Craig. I really can't. I hate going and playing Maccabi Haifa away. I'd have to say...
Emmerdale, because you miss Emmerdale, isn't it?
Mate, I hate missing Emmerdale and Hollyoaks, when it cut for me, I don't want Emery as manager, so I think I'm going to have to agree with Harry, as much it pains me to say it, but I want to be in the Champions League. It's such a tough one. It's such a tough question. We all want to get in the top 4 or win the Europa League, or both, don't we? So I suppose that's what we're going to have to go with. And if that means that Emery's going to stay, then that does disappoint me.
Didn't have to say you could stay. Would you give him a contract? If that was the question.
Sorry, I've read that wrong. Okay, if we're in the top 4 and win the Europa League, brilliant. I'm happy with that, but he can still go. There we go.
All right. So if we let me put.
Sorry, Lee, I didn't say that, mate.
Let me put another little spin on it before we go. If we don't get in the Champions League this year, we run a high risk of losing Aubameyang, Lacazette, Torreira, list goes on.
Xhaka.
So
I don't think Torreira's going to be here next year anyway.
Nah, he'll be gone in January along with
Yeah.
Xhaka.
this channel never talks about Mesut Ozil. What is there to talk about Mesut Ozil?
We spoke about Mesut.
Yeah, we did earlier. I don't want to talk about him again.
He doesn't play, does he? So that's why I don't talk about
Yeah,
him.
exactly.
That's your second question. What game did he get his hat trick for Arsenal in?
Who?
And we give away a corporate day out with Lee Judges for the person who can get the team who he scored his hat trick against in the Champions League.
Who?
Who did he get his hat trick
Mesut
against?
Ozil? I
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
I
Who
know
was
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Who scored?
Who was it then?
Oh, you want us to tell you? I thought it was for them.
Yeah, who? Well, that's.
They've all said it now. They've all said
Yeah,
it
they've
now.
all said it now in the comments.
Was it them? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Unbelievable third goal, wasn't it? Unbelievable.
Oh, now
One-
I remember.
One of the best
Wembley-
goals I've ever seen. To be honest.
Yeah, those two
2-0
defenders
down
on
as
their
well.
asses.
We were 2-0 down, and he come back, and that was unbelievable.
not under Emery though.
True. He put those two defenders on his arse, on their asses.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Beautiful.
That was good. Right. That's good. The end of the podcast.
When football was football.
When football was football. Thank you very much. Nearly 900 of you smashed the record by 200 people out the ground. Thank you very much indeed. Amazing attendance. Thanks very much for coming along. Thank you to everyone who donated this evening. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We will live like kings this week. Just with the donations, the donations pay for SoundCloud and they pay for software, internet usage, things like that. That's what I use it for. So it's not costing any money to run it. So yeah, just in case you wanted to know what I do with them, I don't really. It's not as if I'm putting them in my back pocket and going and buying baseball caps and putting my name on them and all that malarkey. Does anyone know where DT's hat is?
It was me. It was me.
It's been sold on eBay, I think.
Poor old DT. What's this? Gunnar Russ, I donated to you and you never answered me. Oh, sorry, Russ. I'll get Lee to reimburse you. Lee, when you see Russell next, give him back however much he gave us. But thanks anyway, Russell. My apologies for missing that, mate. I think I missed another one as well. So my apologies. I might have to.
He's a cheeky sod. I'll give him a mention just a minute ago. Actually, like on it. You know what I mean? Forget the question. I mentioned his name. That's worth double. That is, right? But there you go.
Thanks very much. Obviously, thank you to everyone joining us this evening. Thank you, Harry. I know you've been a busy man today, and I think hopefully this is your last job of the evening. Hopefully.
Yeah, I've got a few bits to finish off. It's my own fault, man. I just get distracted by stuff. It's my own fault. But always a pleasure to chat to you guys.
Absolutely, mate. It was a pleasure to have you here. Thank you very much, Dan. As always, brilliant, mate. Thank you very much.
Cheers, boys.
Graham, thank you, mate. A pleasure to have you back.
It's been a real privilege to be back. First of all, I just want to congratulate Harry on his new career. I've been following it on Twitter, trying to sort of like tweet out everything he does. I think he's just wish him every success and everything he does. It's well deserved what he does. I think
Absolutely.
he's great at what he does. And I'm so glad he's getting a career in that line.
Thank you very much, man. I really appreciate it. And all your support, because without you guys and everyone watching as well, without you guys, I wouldn't have had the opportunities I've had.
Head over to the Chronicles of the Gooner and subscribe to him now on YouTube, and go and follow him on the Twitter box as well.
Cheers, mate.
Mr. Judges, thanks very much.
No problems.
I was quite surprised how cool you were tonight. Actually, we didn't get
to be honest, it's good therapy coming on it. I don't know how the other lads feel. It does therapy, give you a bit of therapy. You know, because we ground each other as well, like but I'm still disappointed about things at the Arsenal, and I'm not looking forward to Saturday, boys. First Saturday game we've had for a very, very long while, and I'm not looking forward to it. And it pains me to say that.
I'll be disappointed on Saturday, man. It's my birthday weekend, so we got to get 3 points, man. Otherwise, I'm going to be very depressed.
Very depressed.
Let's hope we get 3 points then.
Okay, so we'll see you all next week. Thanks very much indeed for all your support. It's absolutely amazing and very, very humbling to see so many of you coming and watching us on a Monday evening. So thank you very much indeed. Until we see you again, thanks ever so much, everyone. All the best and up the Arsenal.